Which conspiracy theory is so believable that it might be true? Story 1. I don't have time to type it all out right now, but the entire situation surrounding the construction and operation of DIA, Denver International Airport, is strange, even by non-conspiracist standards. Have fun in the rabbit hole. I did a short write-up about this a few years back. Here it is. Read it if you want. Denver International Airport, secret bunker, giant cult shrine, and potential concentration camp. There are a lot of conspiracy theories revolving around the Denver airport. I'll try to touch on all the ones I know, but forgive me if I miss a few. There's no doubt that there are some odd things about the airport, from the delayed construction to the massive cost to the odd choice of decorations. Opening on February 28, 1995, 16 months behind schedule and at double the cost of the original estimate, $4.8 billion. Denver International Airport is the largest airport in the U.S. by total land area, 33,531 acres. Not long after it opened, wild conspiracy theories began floating around. One major theory is that there's a massive underground bunker that was built for the world's elite in the event of an apocalyptic event. Another is that there's a massive facility underneath that was built to be used as a concentration camp in the future. Some people believe that the reason for the delay in the schedule was due to the construction of said underground bunkers and tunnels. Supposedly, a construction worker claims that they buried 5 multi-story buildings underneath and put the airport on top of it. Aside from the construction theories, there's plenty of things inside the airport that are just plain odd. One thing mentioned often is the large Mustang statue shown above outside the airport named Lucifer, a large blue horse with red eyes that supposedly represents one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, death. Oddly enough, the architect who designed the piece was unalived when the horse's head fell on him, severing major arteries and causing what proved to be fatal injuries. Another thing people found odd is the dedication stone inside the airport. One of the first things you notice is the large Freemason symbol in the middle of the stone. Another thing people point out is the date on the stone, March 19, 1994, which if you add up the numbers 191994, you get 33, which is a significant number in the Freemasons, as I believe it's the highest level you can reach in the organization. The last odd thing about the dedication stone is that it says near the bottom, New World Airport Commission contributors. People believe this is a reference to the New World Order, which will supposedly be brought on by the Freemasons/Illuminati. Also noted by conspiracy theorists are the 4 odd and slightly disturbing murals that are displayed in the airport. Some people believe that these murals are packed with Freemason iconography and occult references, and even are a telling of the future. Too long didn't read? Denver Airport is a secret occult superbunker and has some really poor taste when it comes to decorations. Wow, that's a lot to take in for the first story in this video. I gotta admit the taste in the decorations is really weird. Why would any of this stuff be included at this airport? It does seem kind of creepy for something like this. I wonder if there is something hidden underground. I'm actually interested in this one. Story 2. The Laurel Canyon Conspiracy. Basically, if you look at the counterculture revolutionaries in the music industry in the 60s, most of them were the children of military intelligence groups. So the free love, lots of pharmaceuticals movement they inspired was done intentionally to distract the youth from a full-scale revolution. The thought was, if the angry youth of the mid to late 60s were too high and getting spicy time all the time, they would stop caring as much about societal ills and then basically sleepwalk through the 70s, which they did. I stumbled upon this when I was reading up on Jim Morrison and how his father was the one who called in the fake strike at the Gulf of Tonkin that kicked off the Vietnam War, and which was shown later to have been a false flag. Turns out a lot of his contemporaries were also children of highly placed military people with ties to intelligence. Strange that they all wound up in Laurel Canyon as part of the same movement. Have you ever seen the film Wag the Dog? It's a great film about a guy who engineered in the background a whole war from scratch to distract from some sort of scandal happening in the White House. The film itself actually predated the scandals of the Clinton administration. If this Laurel Canyon conspiracy turned out to be true, I'd believe it. Story 3. I don't know if it's a conspiracy theory at this point, but a lot of people still don't acknowledge that your internet searches and social media profiles are absolutely being used as training models by major IT companies. I was a drunk college student and had access to them to run AI training. If you still think you're off the grid, you're an idiot. Being frank, it's not a big deal if you don't have dark stuff to hide. Those people are too busy building the new technological world to give a care that you look at midget porn. But don't delude yourself into thinking people don't have access to anything you do on the internet. And to further that point, privacy in public is non-existent. When you're in public in a city, you're on camera something like every 6 minutes, more in denser areas. So don't go freaking out when someone takes your picture or films you acting like an idiot. If you have your cell phone with you, you're being tracked. How else does Google give you specific traffic congestion details in real time all over the world? I agree with both parts here. This isn't just a conspiracy. This is really true. It seems to get more concerning every year. I know we like to point to China and call them a surveillance state, but I think America is just better at hiding what we do. It almost seems like the internet is a requirement these days. You almost have no choice but to get tracked. Story 4. Mattress firms aren't only holding mattresses, buddy. After reading about this online, I got to thinking. Once I needed a new bed, I decided to check it out. I went in and was approached by 2 salesmen. They had this $1,499 mattress that I really liked. The sales guy saw the twinkle in my eye and knew that I must have this mattress. I told him I liked it, but I needed something more budget-friendly. I was a broke person at that time. He then said, "Well, we can do this one here on the floor for $950. I told him, to be honest, I only have $400 to spare. He says, "Hold on a minute while I make a call." Then comes out and says, "Okay, we can do $400. Just come back in an hour while we prep it." I came back and they even helped me lift it to my truck. Honestly, the best mattress I've ever owned. I get compliments all the time. Edit. My top comment is about a freaking mattress now. I love it. Story 5. The president of the Philippines, Duterte, is very anti-pharmaceutical to hide his own involvements with pharmaceutical cartels off which he makes billions. Funny enough, he once told supporters that if his own children were found to be dealing in pharmaceuticals, they should be unalived. Not long after, one of his children was found to be involved with a big shipment of sea substance, if I recall correctly. Still alive. I may be shaky on some of the details here, but I remember reading this on Duterte's Wikipedia page. I'm at work. We'll find the source later if anyone is interested. Edit. Thanks to everyone who has posted sources in the comments. I got some of the details wrong. M substance, not C substance. But the gist is accurate. Also, Duterte had a past pharmaceutical issue with fentanyl that nobody really knows if he's clean from, and apparently smokes magic lettuce. Story 6. The CIA was involved in selling C substance to low-income black neighborhoods to fund activities they couldn't get approved by Congress. I mean, I'm pretty sure most people believe there was some involvement, and it's just a matter of degree. But I think they were nuts deep in directly smuggling and selling C substance through intermediaries to black communities with full knowledge of the Justice Department and executive branch. Edit. Dudes, I just want to clarify. The fact that the CIA was involved in some degree of pharmaceutical smuggling is generally considered a well-attested fact. The degree to which they were involved in the proliferation of C substance, the motivations behind this, and the degree to which the presidents knew of and condoned or even ordered all of this is a little more debatable. That one is scary. Again, we like to think America is free of this kind of thing. We want to think that only other third world countries are openly selling pharmaceuticals to their public, or they're corrupt enough to allow it to happen. With all the money we budget towards defense in this country, we just don't think that would happen here. Story 7. That research of thorium as a safer nuclear power source was suppressed in favor of uranium research due to uranium's ability to be weaponized. Edit. On my lunch break and see that this kind of blew up. A lot of good information in the comments. I'm not a physicist or an engineer. My field is environmental studies, so safer, cleaner energy is important to me. That being said, I obviously have not researched this topic enough. It just seems to pop up in conspiracy topics often. See YouTube. Looks like a good discussion. I'll have to read through it all after work. Story 8. Amelia Earhart was taken prisoner by the Japanese. There's another theory that she crashed on an island and starved to death. A skeleton from around the right time period was found, I think, and the flesh was eaten by coconut crabs. Really upsetting imagining a horde of giant monsters ripping her flesh off. Edit 2. I didn't say the crabs ate her alive. I'm saying they might have eaten her body after she unalived, possibly from starvation and exposure. Story 9. The government spreads insane conspiracy theories that conspiracy nutters will latch onto to distract from actual conspiracies, like flooding the conspiracy market to devalue conspiracies. Edit. Dear Allah. I get it. Michael Scott, The Office, Stanley, Gossip episode. Do you guys ever check to see if anyone else made that comment? Didn't The Big Bang Theory have an episode where Sheldon and his girlfriend tried to study the spread of rumors? If you don't think this could happen, read 1984. A lot of stuff in that novel could absolutely be true today, just in a more underground way of doing things. Story 10. One of my favorites is that the government was behind hashtag Throwback Thursday in order to get us to digitize and upload pictures that they would not have had access to in order to improve age progression and facial recognition algorithms. I don't know about Throwback Thursday, but the 10-year challenge provided anyone who wanted to grab it a massive amount of training material for a face recognition AI. Story 11. The government experiments on the mentally insane because no one will believe someone with that kind of medical history. I feel like people overlook the fact that the government actually did experiments on Americans and messed at least one of them up so bad that he moved to the middle of the woods and started mailing bombs to people. Story 12. PETA is a controlled opposition run by the meat industry designed to make animal rights activists look bad. They act so insane and overly petty at times, I can almost believe this one. I can't believe my most upvoted comment is just a passive remark that basically restates the post. I've never heard this one. I do know that PETA is more harmful to animal activism than anything else. I think there was some stuff that showed that PETA actually euthanized more animals than any other animal shelter in the world. Do they still hold any sway among anybody? Story 13. The idea that genetic services like 23andMe may be selling records to the government and/or insurance companies. There have been cases of criminals being caught with genetic information like this. Citation needed. So it's not so much of a stretch that other agencies could acquire it as well. Story 14. Some organization group of people wanted all the Kennedys unalived for some reason. Edit. The term conspiracy theory and its poor connotation was created by the U.S. government specifically for skeptics of the official JFK assassination story. Just felt I should put that out there. Story 15. The oil and coal industries invested heavily in unaliving off nuclear power as an attractive alternative. These days, we have reactor designs many times safer than other methods of generating power, and the water issue is something that could be fixed with sufficient investment. Yeah, this one I believe. I actually think it's kind of insane that we still rely on oil and coal. I really think we need to move on to other alternatives. I do think energy companies are still trying to hold on to the power that they have. Story 16. Sometimes I really believe the rumor that Avril Lavigne unalived in 2003 and was replaced by her double. Other times I think it's complete BS. Depends on the day. Edited because she unalived in 2003, not 2001. Story 17. Long John Silver's is some kind of money laundering scheme on the basis that they have been open for as long as I can remember, but I have also literally never seen a busy Long John's. Toxic delusion that I ironically entertain? Story 18. Multiple football World Cups have been influenced either by governments hosting them or other entities out for their own gain. 2002 South Korea/Japan and 1978 in Argentina are the two most obvious ones that come to mind. I could believe there's corruption there. There's been too many stories about FIFA and how they sway countries into building massive structures for them and letting them sell whatever they want, and then leaving them with a bill as they move on to a different country. I mean, if you're going to look at that story, you might as well look at the Olympics as well. Talk about another international competition between people. Story 19. Snapchat worked with the FBI to popularize and secretly test and improve face recognition technology. We went from, wow, this is like magic, to, this is totally normal, in a few years. And there's no way that the technology isn't being used by law enforcement. Story 20. The reason Disney came out with a movie called Frozen was so that when you Googled Disney Frozen, you would get information about the movie and not websites talking about Walt Disney's body being frozen. Story 21. There's an underground PR firm that helps celebrities fake their own death to escape the harshness of the limelight, or if they feel like their life is in danger, i.e. Tupac, Biggie, Paul Walker, etc. That could be possible. Of course, with all the technology that can track people these days, you'd have to go completely off-grid. If you're someone who hates technology, that would probably be a boon to you as well. I do wonder exactly how many celebrities have faked their own unaliving. Story 22. The development of the F-35 fighter jet is so over budget, so the military can fund other top-secret projects without making a new line item on the budget. It's the only conspiracy theory I believe. Story 23. I always hear the advice that in order to stop being heckled by Scientologists, just ask where Shelley went, or ask about the circumstances of her disappearance. It usually shuts them up. Story 24. Michael Jordan's first retirement was actually a suspension by the NBA because of his gambling. It was to avoid a suspension. I gotta admit, I don't follow sports that much. He was always portrayed as a really nice person, especially the Space Jam movie. It's actually kind of hard for me to imagine him having a gambling problem. But he also had that kind of money that could let people indulge in that. Story 25. Women's pants pockets are significantly smaller than men's pants pockets to encourage us to buy handbags and purses. Story 26. The forum search button is intentionally bad, or not purposely bad, but they know how to fix it but refuse to encourage more new posts. Story 27. Memes about the NSA and other spy programs are encouraged by the very agencies spying on us, to twist the idea into the absurd and to humanize their agents. I could believe that one. I'm also pretty certain that that strategy has been used in some capacity somewhere. I could see that as a corporate strategy to spin the take on their company, make the accusations against them sound ridiculous, and make the companies seem more trustworthy in the process. Story 28. YouTube in a mobile browser is so junky so they can force you to use the app and not use an ad blocker. Story 29. Trader Joe's makes their parking lots small on purpose to make them seem more popular than they really are. Kyle Kinane. Story 30. Cops go on Waze and leave random police sightings to cause people to slow without actually having to stay and check on people. Oh, that one could be so true. That could also be out of necessity, too. Waze was pretty responsible for making traffic detour into neighborhoods that otherwise wouldn't have faced it, because we can now see how heavy the traffic is on some main streets. I've seen so many signs in neighborhoods that are asking people to slow down, reminding them that it's a residential area and kids live there. The cops using their own technology to try and combat that is actually kind of genius, if it's true. Story 31. Rob Gronkowski didn't actually injure his groin after scoring his 69th career touchdown. He just thought it would be funny/appropriate. Story 32. The real reason Apple removed the headphone jack was to try to remove Square Pay systems as a competitor for Apple Pay. Edit. First gold comment. Thanks, guys. Maybe that's not the only reason, but that would be a good reason for them to do it. That problem kind of falls apart when you look at other countries. There are many other payment systems in other countries. They all use QR codes. If Apple was dead serious about making Apple Pay the standard, they would make it harder to be able to read QR codes. It's actually pretty easy to use the camera to read QR codes now. Story 33. Two conspiracy theorists walk into a bar. You can't tell me that was just a coincidence, man. Story 34. The value of expensive art is just a pseudo-currency for rich people to subtly buy pharmaceuticals or other illicit things. Story 35. Bob Vance was just trying to plug his business to the cameras every time he introduced himself. Maybe I'm missing something here. I gotta look this up later. I have no idea who Bob Vance is. Do you know what they're talking about? Story 36. That the CIA posts this question every time so they know what the general public suspects. Story 37. That the government made this post to see if we're onto them. Story 38. Apple started the memes about AirPods being expensive as a marketing ploy. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.